Startup India has been a big success, but teething issues like the angel tax might spoil the party. That is the word coming in from John Chambers, who's Cisco's chairman emeritus. In an exclusive conversation with my colleague Kevin Lee, the global business leader opened up about data localization, changing US visa norms, and his predictions for the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. How does he rate the progress of Startup India? Let's hear him out.
The last 4 years, let's give it a B+, and it is so much better than ever has occurred before. Angel taxes, it makes no sense. It does tremendous harm to the startup community. And the other one I think we need to look at is how do you take companies public here in India? It is bureaucratic, way too slow. So many companies, when they start up, don't have their headquarters here in India. That's not good.
The context in which I want to ask you about data localization is that we're seeing protectionism all around the world. It's sort of become the flavor of the month. How does India balance wanting to attract investors with keeping things like critical data, which it thinks is an important resource within the boundaries? How does India find that balance?
I think the leadership in Silicon Valley now is a little bit split. I think some companies have not been listening to the legitimate needs of governments and citizens on privacy and other issues. And when companies do not listen and have a overconfident, almost arrogant approach to the market, then governments will make decisions like data localization to say, if you're not going to solve it for me, I will solve it.
Okay, we'll just get back to that conversation in a moment. The cabinet has approved the e-tax filing system, it seems. Okay. Jet Airways deny any discussions or disclosures with respect to the plans. Resolution plan is under discussion and various options seem to be on the table. Okay, well, this is a response that's, it's a source-based, or rather it's an official response that seems to be coming in from Jet Airways. So they're not really saying much in this. SBI, in consultation with the consortium, is working on the company's turnaround. We already know that. There doesn't seem to be anything new in this message that's telling us how this resolution plan is really moving forward. This is something that we need more clarity on. We do know that there was a meeting of Jet Airways' lenders, and really the question is what sort of step forward will the lenders take? Are they going to adhere to some of the very, very strict demands that Etihad, for instance, has made? I mean, Etihad has gone to the extent of saying that no deal is going to happen unless it's at 150 rupees per share. So that is Jet Airways' statement, contemplates a debt-equity mix, proportion of equity infusion. So some details are coming in. We'll have Lata and Ritu exactly join in to tell us what the airline and its current management, its current promoter, Mr. Naresh Goyal, perhaps is going to propose to the lenders board. Lata, take it away.
Well, actually, it's just breaking news. So we are also reacting to discussions as they are hitting the exchanges. It is very clear that more equity is needed. And it also looks very obvious that the current promoters, Naresh Goyal and related parties, are not able to bring that kind of equity. So we have to see what exactly Jet Airways wants by way of a debt-equity mix. At the moment, we only know what Etihad wants. Etihad very clearly, go ahead.
Yeah, Jet Airways is saying that the resolution plan involves change in the board management as well. They're looking at changes in some board seats.
This is what you had reported anyway. That there will be a change in the board. I mean, if the debt equity changes, if the equity changes, it's obvious that there will have to be a change to the composition of the board. Absolutely. I think at the moment, the board is dominated by Naresh Goyal and related parties. So obviously, if the resolution plan contemplates a different equity mix, it will be proportional. Proportion of equity infusion by the various parties will have to be reflected.
Absolutely, but I think this is the first time this is coming from Jet Airways itself. They confirmed that they are talking to lenders on this turnaround plan, which involves, some debt equity mix, some changes in the shareholding pattern as well. What exactly the discussions are, we're still awaiting a final word. They've also said they have not disclosed any statement to the media yet, but the resolution plan involves various options that is under discussion from the shareholders, as you've been reporting the Etihad, bit of it as well, and what the draft resolution plan was. The proportion of equity infusion by shareholders, that is again, what Etihad, we understand, bankers had made it very clear that the current promoters would have to bring some money on the table and put their skin in the game if they are to expect any restructuring help from the lenders at all.
But one thing seems to be clear over the many weeks that, you've also been reporting on this, Ritu, is that the two possible sort of saviors, if I could use the term, that were, if they were to come in, either Etihad coming in with more equity capital or the Tatas. One common condition is that the current ownership structure has to change, and the rights of the current promoter, they need to be pared down, and Mr. Naresh Goyal needs to step down from the board. That seems to be one common demand from both the parties.
Absolutely, Surbhi. I think from what Etihad has asked, from what has been discussed in the draft resolution plan, what the lenders have been asking is very clear. They do not want the current management to continue as is. They do not want the Goyals continuing to hold 51% stake in the airline. That has to change currently. I mean, clearly they blame some of the current crisis in the airline to how the management has been handling things. Therefore, they do want to see a change in ownership. We are also given to understand that Etihad has sought that, they give away any sort of interference at all in the airline. They would have no say going forward in the future. But draft resolution plans and what the final outcome could be two very different things.
I have a feeling this press release is not saying anything.
Exactly.
It is saying what you reported, Ritu.
Yeah.
It is saying that yes, there is a resolution plan in place. Yes, that resolution is contemplating a different equity and debt mix. Yes, and the board will change in consonance with the change in equity. They're merely confirming a story that you've been reporting for some
3
time.
days now.
And I think the development today really remains what we know of what Etihad's position is. And Etihad has clearly told us even what the jet position is.
Yeah.
So they are not able to accept the jet position. They want that Naresh Goyal at best should have 22% stake and should not have any active role, should not act on behalf of Jet in any fashion. If he is indeed chairman emeritus, the role should be very clearly defined. They're very clear about that, and that they themselves will come only at a discounted price, share price of 150. Meanwhile, I had spoken to several lawyers, and one way in which a discounted price can come is if the board agrees to a rights issue. In which case, since the current promoter is not able to bring in the money, in any case he will not apply. And rights issues are always made at a discount because they have to account for the dilution of the shares.
The equity.
And then you will have, the price coming down, and accordingly new shares being issued at a lower price to Etihad. Which will hopefully bring in more money. So that is still possible within the scheme of things without a special permission from SEBI. But we don't know. I mean, these are lawyers' advice. We don't know whether that advice has even gone to the SBI board.
But we do have one more lawyer. I think we can get one more legal take on this because there'll be several rounds before we see the final plan on this. Mr. Ranina is joining in. Mr. Ranina, exactly on that point, because Etihad has put forward some very stringent conditions. Your sense on two of them. One is they say that we want a written exemption from any possible open offer from SEBI. And the second, and perhaps the even more intriguing one, is that we will come in with equity but only at 150 rupees a piece. Is this possible within current securities and corporate law?
Well, as Lata mentioned, certainly if you come up with a right issue and it's a fairly large issue, then the price would certainly be valued at that price. Of course, you'll have to get a merchant banker's valuation for that 150 rupee price. And so long as that will pass muster with SEBI. So there should be no problem. As far as the requirement that there should be no open offer, that is in SEBI's decision to make. Etihad cannot, force Jet Airways to get that. That is for SEBI. And in the past, SEBI has given this type of exemption for open offer. Because in any case, it is a very difficult situation.
Okay, Mr. Ranina, I think we have the entire press statement, if I may read it out to you. We refer to the various media reports concerning a communication alleged to have been sent by Etihad Airways to State Bank of India in relation with the resolution plan for Jet Airways. We categorically state that nothing has been mentioned in various media reports will be attributed to the company, and we vehemently deny any discussion or disclosure on our part with any media. Further, in order to avoid any speculation, we categorically state state that in line with the decision of the board of directors at their meeting held on the 27th of August last year, the company has been working on various cost-cutting measures, debt restructuring and funding options, including infusion of capital, monetization of assets, including its stake sale in the loyalty program, in consultation with various key stakeholders. Further, pursuant to a delay in the payment of interest and principal installment due to lenders on the 31st of December, SBI, in consultation with the other members of the consortium and stakeholders, has been working on a comprehensive resolution plan towards the turnaround of the company. The said resolution plan, and this is important, contemplates various options on the debt-equity mix, proportion of equity infusion by various stakeholders, and the consequent change in the composition of the company's board of directors. Needless to say, the implementation of the resolution plan, once agreed to and approved by all the stakeholders, including the board of directors, will be subject to a receipt of, all right. I think beyond this, they're just clarifying various other things. But the crux of this is that they are in discussion.
Even the last paragraph could be important, Ritu. We wish to clarify that the resolution plan is presently under active discussion among stakeholders, and various options therein, being privileged and confidential, are yet to be crystallized and agreed to by stakeholders in the best interest of the company. The company is committed to be in compliance with applicable laws and will at the appropriate time make necessary disclosure and statements to ensure transparency and avoid speculation and rumours in respect of the subject matter. I don't think they've given us anything new except to say that they are in discussions and have been in discussions for a goodish bit.
And there will be a change in management if the resolution plan is approved. So largely along the lines of what we've been reporting, but yes, for the first time coming in from the horse's mouth, from Jet Airways.
And acknowledgement that there could be a change in the debt equity mix of the company.
Yes, I think that is the key takeaway from this long press statement that has been issued. The rest of it is just denying any speculations and rumors, etc., etc. But that said, there is a very important lenders meeting that is underway now. So we are expecting, all of these sides to come together, and we have to see if there's any, consensus amongst all these stakeholders at all. And if not, what happens? I mean, is it possible that some of the operational creditors or some other financial creditors drag the company to court? Because by their own admittance, they are in dire situations. The lessors have been complaining. We've seen the letter itself that Lata reported on, mentioning that by the end of this week,
they'll have to start grounding aircraft.
Absolutely. To keep the operations running, they do not have sufficient cash, so some sort of help is required. Liquidity infusion is required. Etihad has set difficult terms for the lenders to agree in return for any, fund infusion from them. So all of these factors have to be considered, and we're awaiting, what the outcome of that lenders meeting will be.
Okay, well, short point. Mr. Arena, first of all, thank you. We have not got any additional information from Jet, except that they admit that there is a resolution plan that is under discussion, and that resolution plan is contemplating a different equity and debt mix, and therefore possible changes in the board as well. But Mr. Arena, if I can engage you for just one more minute, sir, if Etihad is asking for the promoters not to be involved, that is Naresh Goyal and family, do you think this is possible, or is it possible only with a rights issue? Can they be given an exemption under current SEBI rules to bring in fresh shares?
By the SEBI. SEBI has complete discretion to give exemption in special circumstances. But my own take is that, look, as far as the lenders are concerned, I think they don't have a choice. Either they agree to go the Kingfisher way, which means they lose everything, or the lenders will have to come down and take a haircut at this stage and allow the Etihad plan to go through. Because otherwise it's a very bad situation for Jet Airways. It will go into liquidation like any other airline. Okay. And therefore I think the lenders have to take into account the fact that Etihad can be the white knight which can pull out the company out of the red.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see, sir. It looks only an acknowledgement that there is a resolution plan discussion that is underway, something which is now quite known. We will await perhaps the end of the meeting to see if we can get any further clarity. Thank you very much, Mr. Arena, for joining us.
All right, it is going to be a busy evening for the two of you. We can perhaps safely say that on that
space, but for the agri space as well, where we finally have seen some gains come through, especially for the spices sector, where you have the cardamom prices now trading at an 8-year highs, and we continue to trade nearly a percentage point higher onto that one even at this point. It really has to do with the crop, which is expected on the lower side, and that has been supportive. It is about lower production in other areas as well, which has been supportive. So while for cardamom, we are looking at a crop decline by nearly 30%. It's a similar scenario when you look at cumin, where we are looking at price crop decline by 15% as compared to previous year. And barley is yet another one which is trading at a 1-week highs, as the acreage is down by nearly 3.5%. So many of these agro commodities actually continue to do well. Another area which has actually done well today has been the sugar prices. For last couple of days, we have seen a surge into that. Actually, if you look at the international markets, we are trading at a 6-week highs for the raw sugar in ICE. The Indian sugar prices and the Indian sugar stocks have been doing well because of that as well. It actually has been about the crude oil prices, which gained 3% yesterday. And markets do tend to believe that Brazil, which is the biggest sugar producer, would actually produce less sugar and would divert that gain for ethanol to make use of the higher crude oil prices. And that is yet another reason which has been taking the sugar prices higher. Last year wasn't so good. We saw the sugar prices decline by 18% in the global markets, but until now in 2019 the sugar prices are trading in the positive, and it of course has been a lot of factors about the Indian markets which have been keeping the sugar prices in India and the sugar stocks in India until now in 2019 into positive as well. Well, that's about commodities, but that's all the time that we have in this edition of Closing Bell. Thank you for watching.